Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to First Center for Spiritual Living in New York City. I want to I have to remember to welcome our growing social media audience. Jimmy gives me the statistics each week, and there are some number of hundreds of people who are watching our presentations, our talks, our classes, upwards of 900 people some weeks. So that's really great as we emerge from the COVID era. And we're increasingly having nice people show up in the audience, and that really makes us feel good because we've invested a lot the past couple years to keep things going every week for you. We have a load of volunteer activities at the center. We could use help of every kind as we're getting hundreds of people call us and give us message. So let this center become yours by giving of your time, and because there's a lot to do. Anyway, and part of it is having some fun with it, which is the title of today's talk. Don't leave the fun out. I'm fortunate in that I have transcripts of probably 4 or 5 really great teachers, mine and the ones that have preceded me here in New York, spanning back 40 or 50 years. So I try to resurrect 1 or 2 of the great lessons at least a month and reinterpret them, and it's a lot of fun for me. It's also a bit of a challenge, but I enjoy it. I'm going back today to a talk that was done in 1994, a lesson, and I found the transcripts, and it was done by Dr. Bill, who was one of the best in the business in the early 90s. He was one of the clearest teachers around. He had built that center up to be huge, and he told us all every week. I have these Dr. Bill sayings, one of which was, you deserve a first-class life, and that this is a first-class teaching for first-class people. And he was really suggesting to all of us, step up, step up, step up, and stretch and grow. So I'm going to start by calling this a great day. And one thing I loved about him, he always used such strong languages. He wasn't waiting for anything. He was telling us to put a demand on consciousness, because we in fact can put a demand on consciousness, and life will respond to us. So I'm going to call this a great day. It must be, because we're here to celebrate it. And again, welcome everybody to First Center. If you're tuning in now, as sometimes people do after we start, you can always send us a message in the chat, and we will invite you to join us on Zoom, because after my lesson, there's a time for us to interact, and after that, there's community time. We also have a weekly e-letter that goes out. Sometimes it has some spiritual gems. Other weeks it simply has the information of our classes and spirit groups. We also have an integral growth group that meets here on Tuesday. Those of you who are members are more than welcome to join us on that. That's where all the real work is done of the center. So welcome. Send us a message if you'd like to be on the Zoom call. Lately, as I say, I've been getting inspiration from Raymond Charles Barker, Bill Tulliver, Dr. Grayson, and Dr. Wade Atkinson as well. But let's go to Dr. Bill now. And his title originally was After Hello, What? And throughout that talk, he mentioned we must have fun. So always include fun, which is the title I use today. Because having fun and experiencing joy is an option. And it's an option that we have, those of us who have this teaching. We know that we can have joy and we can have fun. Everybody doesn't have that understanding, though. For most of the world, life is a struggle. So I'll talk a little bit about this as we go through the lesson. Each day, what do you do when you wake up? Okay, so those of you who are metaphysicians, practicing metaphysicians, it's like, hello world, hello life, here I am. And there's an excitement. I'm awake and I'm alive. Do you wake up like that with this exuberant sense? And here was the question 30 years ago. What do you say after hello? After you wake? Okay. I know most of you probably don't even think about it. You're functioning, a lot of people have an alarm clock and the whole 9 to 5 thing kicks in and you're like, don't have a thought, you haven't had your coffee, you're not alert. But here's the suggestion for today. If you want to empower yourself in a dynamic way, let's start thinking about this waking process. When we wake up in the morning, for example, you're really saying hello to life. The ancients said you're greeting the dawn. You have a salutation to the dawn. Maybe you could think about this a little bit today and through the week. Think about it a little bit more. We wake every 24 hours, and there's always a missed opportunity for most people. Life, as we all know it, is very brief, right? And if we get in the habit of waking and being more conscious, we're going to enjoy much more of our lives. If we become conscious, this would be the perfect time to do it. If you can train yourself. You might even have a little post note and put it next to your bed or put it on the lampshade next to your bed or whatever you have to do this. This is where you can start becoming more awake and more aware. This is where you can say, hello, I'm alive. And say it to yourself with some enthusiasm. Wow, I'm here and I'm alive right now. And those of us in the teaching, we know that life is responding to us. So what follows after we say hello? What can follow? It's great if you can wake up with this kind of awareness and train yourself to tap into that consciousness immediately. Some of you will get there eventually through the day if you remember to meditate and do affirmative prayer, but you could do this as soon as you wake up and have that become a daily process, just your routine. It can possibly set the tone for the rest of the day. It would if you did it every day. Most people, wake up unconsciously. So most of us get up and stumble maybe to the bathroom or however our routine goes. Maybe we could be more mindful of those early moments. I would think writing myself a note. That's what I used to do, like these sticky notes. As we wake up each morning and learn to practice this teaching. And as we do this, we're going to become much more in tune with this energy, this presence. You wake up and say, oh my God, I'm alive and I'm awake. A lot of people, the alarm clock goes off and many people in the teaching here have gone from, oh my God, it's morning, I'm going to be late, I got to run to, you move into a sense of good morning life with a smile on your face filled with positive expectancy. When you pause and you connect with yourself and you say, oh my goodness, I'm alive and I'm awake, then it's like you can't wait to get out of bed and do whatever it is that you're going to do. There's this sense of energy and excitement and empowerment, enthusiasm even, that you have within you if you take the time to connect in that way. There's a whole bunch of cliches I could use. You've heard them before. This is the first day of the rest of your life, or whatever else you might say. The stuff that you see on Instagram, Facebook posts and all. But you know what? This could be the first day of the rest of your life if you live consciously. And it will be the last day for some people. And none of us really know what it is. But we can set the tone immediately when we wake up. And thank goodness we don't know everything that's going to happen to us. We don't know when we're going to check out, and we don't have that kind of knowledge. But one thing we have control over is our greeting. What's it going to be for you going forward? I'm wanting people to really start to, take charge of their lives more and be less in reaction and less in the 9 to 5 and the action-reaction and start to live a little bit more consciously. So I'm going to ask you to think about this idea. What am I going to do after I wake up and kind of like say hello to the world? throughout this lesson, and maybe you'll do something different this week. What tone are you setting in your consciousness when you first get out of bed in the morning? Your thoughts might get interrupted, and they do for me, by it could be a phone call, family, or my dog, or anything. So you might have an energy exchange with your partner, your dog, or anybody when you get up. Most of us don't wake up with a consciousness that this is going to be a bad day. It isn't anything deliberate we do. It's far more subtle. We carry a lot of stuff in us from day to day, and so when we wake up and we're carrying stuff, we want to see if we can find a way to wake up and basically be conscious. My God, I'm awake, and this universe is in me, operating through me, and I can set the tone in a different kind of way. So today, I want to remind everybody, this was the message of that talk years ago. It's what you do after you wake. It's what you do after you say hello that will make all the difference in the world. So when we wake, it's like, hello, here I am again. You greet the day in some kind of way. You greet the dawn, so to speak, just as the ancients have done through thousands of years. You greet the dawn with a new excitement. And here is the suggestion: remember to do it. Make a bigger and more conscious, deliberate start each day. It's important to set the tone right there, first thought and the next thought as you start the day. You know, after you get in, you may get up and stumble around to the bathroom and whatever you do, but deal with your dog or say hello to your partner. But then take a moment quietly and ask yourself, what kind of day is this going to be? Because the only person here who's going to decide is you. What kind of day is this going to be? What are the tasks that I'm going to face that I know about? And what kind of spirit and what kind of energy am I going to bring to them? How am I going to be a lifter? How am I going to be a person that, we're here practicing seeing the good. What is my dedication for the day? What creativity can I bring into this day? How can I make this day really good? Am I going to have some challenges? Then how can I think about them now so I don't take anything coming up today personally? Why don't I just right there in this moment realize, okay, I'm not going to personalize anything. I'm not going to allow anything to beat me down. And I'm going to be able to dominate them. Or at the very least, I'm going to be able to work through them without feeling like I'm being rushed or wiped out by anything. So after hello, you might ask yourself, what can I do with today? Now, if you will make a decision in the morning when you first get up and greet the dawn, so to speak, can you make a decision that will go something like this? I intend to use this day and live it to its fullest. When you wake up, you could even have that by your bed. I intend to use this day and live it to its fullest. I don't want to waste one moment of this experience, not a second of it. I'm going to be in connection, live in connection with Source and everyone I meet. That's a pretty positive, powerful statement. I release the need to feel sorry for myself. I release the need to be out of sorts. I release the need to be fearful. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to say, I am confident, empowered, creative, loving, and dynamic. I want to seize this day, knowing it is life and it is responding to me and through me. Here's the thing. Can you do this? Can you even conceive of making those kind of statements or such a decision? After hello and good morning, can you make this kind of demand on life? Or are you going to carry a bunch of stuff that you've been carrying for 20, 30, 40 years? It's really optional. So, can you make a bigger decision right there from Jumpstart each and every morning? Write yourself some notes to remind yourself if you have to. Could you conceive at least experimenting with starting doing this? Dr. Bill all those years used to say, that's all we will ever ask of you. We don't ask anybody here to accept anything on blind faith in this teaching. I've always said if you can prove cause and effect in your life, then you know it works. And then it's for you. And then you'll know that the teaching works and you'll know how powerful it is. And if you can't, then go find some other teaching that works for you that you're comfortable with. We've never suggested, I don't believe any of my peers have ever suggested that you have to accept principle or the principles we teach on blind faith. But rather, all the things we teach are demonstratable and provable. And if you can prove them in your life, then this is the teaching for you. And if it isn't, some bless us by coming and some bless us by going. This teaching really is not for everybody in that sense. This teaching is for people who really want to master the possibilities of their life and be who they have come here to be. Okay? This isn't a place where we coddle anybody and do poor baby and all of that. We're here to lift ourselves up and to lift other people up and to stretch and grow. So, the question again, could you conceive of, or would you be willing to tomorrow morning and make a commitment for the first moment of your awareness to set the tone, okay? You're going to want to plan your energy, your field of energy, to greet the potential or the possibility for good things to happen. To know that your feelings follow your thoughts, and a thought plus a feeling equals an action. And always know you have the choice as to what you want to think. You have the choice to contradict yourself, in fact. So some of us need a cosmic brainwash, right? Because we have a lot of stuff running around our heads that really is producing a lot of things in our life we don't want. And some of us speak too quickly, and maybe we want to gain some control out of all that. It doesn't matter, though, anything that you've done in the past, the thoughts that you've had in the past, the things you've said. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday or even last night. It doesn't matter if you've had a bad dream or a bad night. You say to yourself when you wake up, this is my day, and I'm going to dominate it to the very best of my ability. And see, I love his strong language because most of my years as a minister, everybody's waiting on the Lord and waiting and wishing and hoping. And this is a much stronger concept. We learn that we can put a demand on consciousness and know, again, that this is my day and I'm going to dominate it to the very best of my ability with my positive thinking. I'm going to act upon my environment rather than have my environment act upon me. I'm not going to go through the day waiting to see what happens. We're not people that are all about wishing and hoping. We're not here waiting to see what kind of responses we get from people, waiting to see what the challenges and opportunities will be. But rather, we're going to go into this day fully equipped, fully energized, fully intelligent, fully capable of dominating and acting upon my environment. Life is responding to you. That's the thing we want to remember today. I'm going to challenge the difficult tasks, knowing that there's always an answer. And I'm going to know that there's always a way to work through anything, or it wouldn't be here in front of me. I'm going to move into the awareness that there is no situation that's going to threaten my well-being, and then I'm going to make this day fun. So that's really kind of a great thing. That's a trick in and of itself. If you can enter the day with positive expectancy and do it with a sense of fun. Dr. Bill, all those years ago, now I know where I got it, said, I really think that one of the primary reasons for life is to have a good time, to have fun, Spirit expressing through you having fun. I remember another minister some 15 years later, she said, Gregory, what is your preoccupation with having fun? And I used to think, oh my God, you can't take all this seriously. You may as well have a sense of humor about it and have this kind of confidence. Laughter sometimes bothers you, but the thing is, it's good to have a sense of humor. You might believe in abundance. That's only a problem to people who don't believe in abundance, who don't have any. And intelligence is a problem to people who don't use theirs because they're intimidated often by other people's intelligence, and then they feel threatened. They don't realize that they, or all of you, are pure intelligence. If you wake up tomorrow morning and you say to yourself, hey, I'm going to go through this day and have some fun, and I'm going to make the most out of any kind of circumstance. I'm going to make the most out of mundane situations. I'm going to make everything interesting because you can. I'm going to make it interesting if I'm making my bed or washing the dishes or whatever it might be. I don't care what it is. I'm going to make it interesting. I'm going to find something to have fun with it, because I have the consciousness to do that. Then any kind of activity, if you do it with a certain consciousness, you're going to find enjoyment. I'm not going to go through the day bummed out. I have the consciousness to do it differently, and I intend to. And I release the need to be depressed or go through the day with anxiety. It's my choice. It's up to me. Now, if I come to you having made that decision in the morning, right? The great things are going to happen. Dr. Bill recalled a minister from Detroit, Michigan, who built up a big metaphysical church there, of all places. And it was a big job. And you would not think of Detroit being a hotbed for metaphysical thought. And it really wasn't until this guy was there for a few years, building it up. He believed it was going to do, and it would, and he worked on it harder than anyone had ever seen. He said he put together the best talk imaginable. He spent 12 hours on it every Saturday night. He wouldn't even sleep through the night. He'd go in every Sunday morning and deliver the best. And he said to his congregation, your part of the bargain is to come completely open-minded, because if you come and your mind is closed, then nobody can give you anything. Your part of the bargain, if we're all working this hard, is to come with an open mind and be receptive and supportive. Open, receptive, and supportive. And that's what he did. I think his name was Jack Bolins, I can't recall. He worked to put everything he had each week into his lessons and talks. And he knew like we do here in New York, that we're doing important work, incredible work. And especially if you consider Detroit back then, and he accomplished it. He was dedicated to making also whatever he was doing fun. He had a pretty good sense of humor, taking nothing personally, which we often talk of here. And I suspect the reason he had developed this kind of sense of humor, because like many, many ministers in the field, he had been through a tough life, problem with alcohol in the past. There had been a lot of pain. You've heard said before, pain is the touchstone of spiritual growth. What we do here in this teaching is we're always working through things. We're not avoiding things. There's many of our ministers who've had similar stories. And he fully committed to what he was doing, and he became very successful. It took a number of years. I know I got to New York personally in 2017, and I've known that the churches throughout the country of all kinds, not just ours, have been in trouble. They've been in a decline. I knew that we in New York had to adapt. We had to pivot. We really had to look at what the future was calling us to be. And thankfully, I knew we instituted for the past 2.5 years a really important meeting on Tuesday nights where we have a vision, we have a mission statement, we have a process. And there's a very special group of people who devote a lot of time every week here to getting that right. And we consider what thriving communities are doing and practices of thriving communities. And we've worked out so much, and we've been able to thrive and to get through the pandemic and have our numbers grow and grow. And we have some solid members now who have a say and who are participating like never before. Thing is, we had to do this. It's not enough just to give talks and have no supporters. So I'm reminded of this lesson in particular because, like the minister who turned the Detroit work around long ago, a lot is required of yourself, and you must keep your sense of humor. So that's true for ministers, and that's probably true for all of you as well. If you can't keep your sense of humor and you're a minister, you're in deep trouble. Whenever you're dealing with human beings in any of your jobs, you better make it fun out of it and take nothing personally. Everybody's doing their best after all. Anyway, in this case, the minister in Detroit made a very successful work after, dogged determination and working with his people week after week. I have a similar sense of what's going on here after now close to 4 years. We've come through some big challenges here, but we're here standing. Our message is consistently strong and clear. We stay focused on the teaching and on the possibilities. We stay focused on principle and that it's unfailing. We welcome anyone and everyone into the center to participate and to be of service and to learn how to be givers and to stretch and grow. So what I'm asking you to do today is to make a contract with yourself to say something great and true to yourself every single morning as you wake. As you say hello to life in the morning, it's what you say after that. And here's your contract. You might say to yourself, this is a great and wonderful day. I will never again wake up and say that it's a bad day. I'm going to say every day that this is a great and wonderful day. That's your contract. That's your contract with you after you wake and say hello to life. Never again will I wake up and go anywhere or speak to anyone until I've gotten in charge of my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. If you got up on the wrong side of the bed, then go right back in that bed and get out of the bed again on the right side. If you're not feeling well, say to yourself, I'm going to find out why and I'm going to correct it right now. If I'm worried I'm going to deal with something and it's creating a story, then I'm going to stop and I'm going to take that pause and I'm going to reset that statement. Anything we worry about, by the way, is always worse than the actual experience itself. No matter how much you were ever worried about anything, the actual event was not as bad. I'm going to recognize that all of my anxiety comes from futuring. Think about it. Everything I worry about, anything anyone worries about, is when I'm futuring, when I'm not here and I'm not here in the now. Because if you were here and now and present, you wouldn't be worried because you'd be listening to the talk and you would be relating to what's being said. I can't have anxiety over what's going to happen tomorrow. And I certainly don't want to be lamenting over the past because that would be completely foolish. We're all smarter than that, hopefully. Now, if you make the decision for yourself, or at least experiment with this each day, I don't say you have to do this, but I would suggest that you try it. If you like it, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. You don't even have to try it if you don't want to, but I promise you, it'll pay great dividends if you'll be willing to try it. I can almost promise you that the quality of your days will radically change, and the quality of the people that you interact with will as well. And the ones that you interacted with in the past days that were nasty or inconsiderate or ill-mannered will start to change also. That's a promise. If you wake up each day and you set your consciousness in this kind of way. People will change in front of your eyes, and what won't change, that won't matter because you'll change. You won't be reactive to them. You won't allow your interchange to go that way. And in some cases, you might even laugh as some of these folks do their thing, and of course that will irritate them. So if you really wanted to get someone upset, you could laugh when the silliness starts, but I'm not suggesting that. That's not really smart either. The thing I want you to know is that you are master controller. You are the master controller of you. Make sure what you're doing is fun. Make sure it's dynamic. Make sure it's creative. Make sure it's worthy of you. Challenge yourself to do this. Otherwise, why bother get up? I mean, here, you're waking up and you're saying, oh my goodness, I'm alive in life, creative life. I'm an individualization of it. And oh my goodness, the things I can do today. So set the tone right so your day can be right. I certainly, as a minister, don't want to hold myself up as any example any more than Dr. Bill or any of the ministers do. Because you guys know us. We all have feet of clay. We're people. And all of us are working on the same stuff as you are. Dr. Bill mused that day, I wonder how it would be if I came in Sunday morning, 40 minutes late and disheveled and said, I don't feel like talking today and blah, blah, blah. Or he went in and he said, I don't really have a good talk today. And he says, no, he says, I have expectations of myself to go and do the best possible job. And my expectations of my audience is to come in with an open mind, open heart, and be supportive. So don't go in there and nag. Don't burden others with that, because it's just a story, and we all need to snap out of that stuff. And he went on and on about that, which I don't need to repeat. So let's go back into the main part of his notes. What do you say to yourself after you wake up and essentially say hello to life? That's the question. And what's the answer? Is the answer that you're going to let other people dictate to you how you're going to feel today or the rest of your life? Or is the answer says something like this? Look, I'm a truth student. I'm a student of metaphysics. I'm in a science. I am really a student of this teaching. I'm learning to put this affirmative living into practice. We here at the listen, here's the whole thing. For those of you who stay in the classes and stay plugged in, your life is going to change, I promise you. For those of you who just tune in once in a while, I don't know if it's going to work the same way for you, because there's a commitment involved with you and you, to get your consciousness elevated. So if you're a person who doesn't just pay lip service to the teaching, if you really in earnest practice it, we say early, late, and often, we're learning to live the affirmative life. If you're a student of this teaching, which means you're a student of your own life, and there's a commitment there, you're going to show up on time, you're going to be present, you're going to take the cotton out of your ears, you're going to listen, you're going to be present. That's your part. And become more and more committed to yourself in this teaching, and whatever commitment you make, keep it. Do the classwork, support the center, and all the rest. All of that, though, is secondary, a secondary commitment. The primary commitment is the commitment that you live the principles of the science of mind. Now, that doesn't mean that you can live them perfectly 24 hours a day. There's no one that can do that. No one I've ever known has. No one can be that enthusiastic and positive, thank God, because they probably would be intolerable. Even Dr. Holmes somewhat joked about this. He said, but to the very best of your ability, you're going to become aware that when you get up in the morning, this morning is a tremendous gift, and somehow challenge yourself to see that. See that this morning is a tremendous gift, and that life is a gift itself. It's not any kind of imposition, it's a gift. It's not a sentence, it's a gift. There's no time needed off for good behavior. This day, this life is a gift. And the gift is free choice. You get to decide. You can make the day miserable too. It's entirely up to you, as you hear me say most weeks. You choose your thoughts, and when you choose the thought, your feelings will follow, or you can allow those old thoughts, old agreements to come up and watch the feelings follow them, as you've been doing for the past 20, 30 years. So why not wake up early and challenge yourself from the beginning? Say, hey, God, I'm here, and I'm going to do it a different way. This is the way, it's always worked out, same old, right? And it's later than any of us think. So you could you could take up my challenge and begin to do this and just be amazed before you're halfway through. And if you're somebody that really has good thoughts circulating all the time, that's absolutely wonderful, because I know there's a few of you that do. I'm generally positive most of the time, but not all the time. You know, most of us realize we're works in progress. Those of us who stay close to the teaching we're staying plugged in, and we're staying connected, and we're reminding ourselves, because there is this thing that goes on where we remember and then we forget. So the little challenge for today is, how about this early morning practice after you wake up, right after you say hello? You know, set the tone for the day. That's unless, of course, Dr. Bill said you've decided to give up or you feel it's done, you're done, and you've decided you want other people to decide for you. And I promise you they will. If that's the life you want, they will make your decisions for you. But that isn't most people who are in this teaching realize that we have decisions to make each and every day. We have choices to make, and we want to make life fun, interesting, exciting, creative, and dynamic. We're not people who go around with the ain't it awful or life, he said, sucks. I don't usually speak that way. We don't want to go around, ain't it awful, and poor me, and then we die. We here operate from choice, and you have the choice to get up in the morning and say, this is going to be the day that the Lord has made, and this is a gift, and I choose to use it dynamically and wonderfully. You could do it the other way. I have no control, no power, and talk about everything you can't do and how bad life is and let chips fall where they may. It's all your choice. Once you make a commitment to yourself, though, to your own evolution and to your own well-being, there's a requirement coming from the awareness that your old belief system is going to have to go. Your old belief system wants to keep you where you are. It wants to keep thinking the same old things. You might go back to, that religion of my youth might be right. Look how many people are over there. You can tell yourself all kinds of things when you start to challenge your belief system. Some of you might think, I want to go back there, Dr. Bill said, right? Because this teaching requires self-acceptance, self-approval, and it requires us to change. He went on to say, now I like to wake up each day, and oftentimes as I do, especially recently, and realize that the pages of my book have not been fully written. The last chapter of my life has not been written. Okay? What has happened to me up to now has been my story, my history. And I'm not bound by anything that's happened to me during the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years. This is a new moment, and you can create the next chapter, with a new thought. But today is my page, and I have the right to write in that page whatever way I want. And the end of each day, if I don't like what I have written, I can rewrite it again. Now, what are you going to say in your journal of life? Hello, life. What are you going to say? What are you going to say that you've come here to experience? Would you like your life to be a series of gripes and ain't it awful? You may be saying to yourself, wherever I am is terrible. I want to move to the West Coast, East Coast, South, wherever. I want to go to Europe, Canada. I want to go anywhere except where I am. I want to change my life, change my job. I can't stand my boss. I can't stand the people I work with. I never really knew that you were supposed to have a job so people would like you. I always figured that you have a job to earn a living, then you do your social stuff somewhere else. You might say, I don't like that guy, or this boss doesn't understand me. None of that's necessary. And if you're griping about your paycheck, that means you're not doing enough creative work on your job. The thing about becoming exceptional is do more. And the world will openly reward you. here or the other place you're going to work. And do whatever you do, whatever you commit your time and energy to, do it so there's a sense of fun. So the preoccupation here with all this talk is, how are you writing your book going forward, as you wake up each day? And the suggestion is review your day's works and take a self-assessment. And as you do your review, I'm looking at his notes now, he said, see where you've given your power away and think about all the good stuff you did and see where it balances and see where tomorrow can take you, so that when you rewrite your own history, rewrite it in a way where you've seen the good that you've done. So we're going to close with some of Dr. Holmes's words. This is a practice. We practice, we practice, we practice. Now, I'm suggesting today you practice earlier in the morning, set the tone straight. But Dr. Holmes would say, rather than any one single demonstration, what is more important is that every single day your thinking is improving a little bit by a little bit, that you're expanding a little bit, that you're becoming more clear, you're becoming more powerful, you're becoming more loving. That's the best you can really hope for. Nowhere in the textbook do I hear or read or have ever seen that you have to get yourself all excited into some metaphysical thing and lay one positive prayer on the universe and it will transform your life. It doesn't really work that way. Nowhere from that we read does it say that consciousness unfolds like that. More often, it starts from making small beginnings, like in the morning, what you do after hello, what you say to the universe, and what your intentions are. And then the prayerful state, the affirmations that you use throughout the day. There seems to be a quickening that happens for those of us who are really engaged in the teaching, who stay plugged into the classes. We are then part of an unstoppable process of expansion, and we're beginning to work with it as all these things we do work on our consciousness. It's imperceptible at first, but it's always there. And the best that we can hope for is that we can offer how we decide to feel, how we decide to not give power to others, because we're writing our books. And know that life is a gift, and I'm going to cherish it, I'm going to honor it, and I'm going to wring every bit of life that I can out of the process. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to make it exciting, or at the very least, I'm going to make it more than tolerable. I'm going to make it good, and I'm not going to waste it. We had a couple other closing remarks that I will pass on. So I'm going to close asking you the question: are you going to take up the challenge? Are you going to wake up each morning and challenge yourself once you become awake and aware of who you are and what you are, to have a good day and to live from that place of connection? It's entirely up to you. So we're going to see you at the other side of the break, and you can share your good news, what's been happening to you as a result of practicing this teaching this week. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.